Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how far I've got on the engine so far, cleaning all the areas that I need to access, you know, taking things off, checking hoses, etc. So yeah, it's basically so I can get enough room around the bulkhead to eventually paint the bulkhead and then reassemble everything. Taking pictures along the way just to make sure what order and location of wires and hoses, etc. So let me show you. The condenser off, the front condenser and the fan unit, the horns, they came off real quick. The AC unit, the AC system was empty, so that wasn't a problem. So you can see I've got access to the front of the engine now. I can do some more cleaning and degreasing. You can see what a monster this thing is. I mean, it's just gigantic. Harmonic balance here, that's a 52mm nut on the front there if you ever need to hand crank one of these. This allows me access to the water pump a lot easier in case I want to probably just go in there and change the gasket and check that the bearings in the water pump are okay. Now I can whip the alternator off really easy. What else in here? Yeah, these hoses up here that are tucked in here, obviously I'm going to change those out. I've left the distributor on at the moment, don't want any dirt or anything going down into the engine, into the gearing. What else here? Oh, this exposes this beam that we talked about in the last video about I have to take the bumper off and look into possibly thinking, you know, I'd love to have some feedback on replacing this beam, or if there's a possibility of bending it back, but I don't think so because it's a box unit and there's no real way of doing that, so that's going to be quite a major undertaking, I think. Up here now I've removed the compressor pump along with the steering pump and the hoses. That gives me a lot more access up top here because I want to reattach the cam cover before I start doing more cleaning. Make sure no moisture gets in there. That was pretty straightforward. I'll show you physically over there on the pump, but this is the mounting plate for the compressor pump, 4 bolts and then a bolt here to essentially push it this way to tighten the belt tension, and then this plate here acts as a reinforcement plate on the back of the steering pump because it's quite a weighty unit, so it needs some extra support here. What else here? Now eventually I want to take off the steering, the brake vacuum booster and the reservoir to gain access under here, so any feedbacks on doing that would be great. I'll probably have to access that inside the car in the bulkhead, and I think that's about it for the moment on this. Just slow going, but it's a lot of fun, and you're learning as you go as well. Really makes a lot of difference having a clean engine bay to work with. You know, not only keeps you cleaner and you less concerned about things dropping into the engine or getting in anywhere. I also want to get this cover because I don't want anything dropping in there. I've been putting rags here to make sure of that. Also gives me more access to these units down here, the fuel filter and the denatured alcohol canister. Another thing I forgot to mention the other day, the mounting plate where the compressor goes, this hole here, basically if you can imagine the base of the compressor, this attaches to the base. This is feeding oil to the bottom of the compressor to keep the all the bearings and the crank in the compressor lubricated, and then it washes back down through this chamber back into then it's circulating round. Now there is a gasket seal here inset here, and I was told by a guy, oh actually no, I was not told, I saw a guy, he was fixing a 6.3, I think it was an Australian guy actually. He replaced the gasket, but he made sure that this is a flat gasket, it's not a ring gasket, because obviously the pump needs to move back and forth, and a ring gasket, you know, a round one has a tendency to roll. This is a flat gasket, so when I reassemble this, I will replace that with a flat round gasket, so then obviously the body of it can move across it without rolling it. That's just a little interesting point there. I ended up deciding to remove this fender, reason being, I'm trying to remember now. It's been a day or so since I've this trick of filming, you see, you can think of things as you go. And anyway, oh yeah, that was it. I took the bumper off, looked at that front girder to repair, and then I thought, while I'm in here, I'll remove this fender, to access this box panel back here to see what was going on with that. Anyway, and also check this rim. Now you can obviously see, I'll get a closer shot of it. You obviously see we've got some rust damage here, and I'm glad I did take this fender off. I'll take the other one off as well, because my plan is to get the engine running and clean and tidy and paint the interior of the engine bay and work my way back out. And then once it's running and it's all tidy in there, then I'll concentrate on other stuff, you know, body work further back, and tidying everything up. Obviously I've got to deal with all the suspension situation, bushings and mounts and all that sort of good stuff. So it's one job leads on to another, as I'm sure you're all aware. But I'm glad I did, because I was going to be able to repair this panel here where the mounting holes are just rusted out. And for those of you not familiar with the 108, or a lot of Mercedes really, you know, there's a tendency on these wings where they're bolted on, mud traps up there, moisture gets in through that lip, and moisture holds on there, mud and all that crap over the years, and you end up with rust problems, which are hidden when the wings are on, the fenders are on. So I'll give you a closer look. Okay, so first of all, down here, let's get you focused here, there we go. Down here it's all very solid. I've hit this with screwdriver, and everything's really solid and nice all here. As you come down here, see this box unit is nice here, and this is where the problem starts. We've got this all eaten away here. I've taken a wire brush to the top here, and it sort of slows down to about here. This is solid all here. Obviously we've got some problems under here, and then there's an inner area there that's a little rotten, but when it goes back towards the floor it's all very solid. We've also got a little rot on the A-pillar, which I'll obviously take the door off to get to that, get good access. So what I plan on doing is getting these areas up to probably most part way down by the driver's side door here, get all that repaired and detailed, and then work my way back up and then finish off in the engine bay so I can get that painted and all that back together, because then I can drive it around a bit, see what it's like. Anyway, so up here, all good here, all solid. It's got that typical tar stuff on that's a double-edged sword really, because if they get moisture behind that, it can't escape. And then you've got this double lip seam here, the outer and then the inner lip, and this is where we start running into problems. See, this piece here is the inner bulkhead, and this is the outer, and then they're joined together here. You can see the mounting nut here, all rotten away here. All this though is solid. So I'm thinking, let me go down and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So chunk this in there, and then it gets really bad right there, but then it goes and it's very solid all the way down. So this is a problem area, I'm assuming, because the tyre throws mud up, you know, and mud and moisture and crap, and this gets a real hitting. But if you see the hood, it's got a guide for me to see the alignment of the hood to that lip. So obviously I'll leave the hood in place, that'll give me a guideline, and then you can see this lip is angled backwards, that'll give me a guide. So my thought was, and speak up or leave a comment if you what you think, is this is two pieces sandwiched together, so cut back so I can access the inner one, repair that first, get that all nice, and then come in and then repair this one. And weld that up, and then obviously I'm going to have to weld in I think these are, whoops, that just fell off, welded captured nuts on the fender here. Anyone with a little bit more familiarity will tell me about that. No, that's a captive nut there, it's just slopping around. There's another one there, let's say, that's slopping around. So that's that. that I'm kind of looking forward to doing actually. As you can see, it's very important to keep all the drainage holes clear in these. At the bottom of the fender here, as it comes down, there's a little drainage hole that can get blocked and crap, and then obviously that's where this area suffers. I think, let's think, I think there's a drainage hole right under here, just below the brake booster. That needs to be checked to be clear. There's a drainage bung here, that one as well, and so you can see why having all those pine needles in these cars settings. So periodically really check those drain holes, make sure everything's clear. You can see I've got good metal under there. I've been scraping all this tar stuff off. And also, if anyone's got some comments on, once this is all repaired, to treat it obviously with some kind of what's that product, that black stuff, I can't remember. Someone talked about it on the group, something to protect this. And what do you guys recommend as far as putting a more of this kind of stuff on? But this has got a double-edged, you know, sword to it, because moisture gets in behind. So I'd love some recommendation how to treat it once it's all repaired. That would be great. Obviously this is also something on removing the fender, gives me access to remove the storage air tank that sits here and clean all that up, get all that fixed up and nice, check the, you know, the valves in that. So it gives me obviously access to the suspension and all that good stuff. If you're not familiar with removing the fender of one of these 108, 109 bodies, of the obvious ones are all the mounting bolts along the inside of the hood here. There's a Phillips screw on the front, and you know, all the obvious ones, but then there's one hidden behind the door right up here. There's also two screws at the bottom here, two Phillips screws that I actually ground off because they were completely rusted, but also the hidden ones are here and here. That is where you have to remove the splash guard. You have to remove the vacuum storage tank, which stores the vacuum for all the central locking and all that stuff, and then you can reach through to the 10mm nut heads here and here. They're hidden deep, and then, you know, with a little wiggling it should come off no problem. Another benefit from taking the front driver's side fender off is that I can access the fuel filter and the denatured alcohol canister and clean all that area out and get good access to that. That's a big benefit. I'm not actually sure what this relay is for. This one, I'll track it back and find out what that one is, and then just clean all this area up and get that all nice. So that's another benefit of getting that fender off. Okay, this is the unit. It's bolted on. Let me just get this camera on here. Got bolted on to the back here, where some big Allen bolts here, which separates these two units. These are the mounting bolts that go on here. This is the tensioning bolt with a lock nut here. So very straightforward. It just goes along some tracks to tighten the belt tension. Has two belts running this. So they're the two sets of bolts for the compressor, and these bolts come in the back here through that plate I showed you to support the back of the steering pump here. I removed this hose on this end because I was having a little difficulty getting this out here, even with the crow's foot. It was not very good access, so instead of going here I went the other end. More than likely change this hose out anyway. Okay, before I go tonight, I just want to show you one other thing. Hold on a minute. Turn the horseshoe the right way up. Luck has changed now, you see. It's on its road to recovery. Alright, have a good one guys. Take care. Bye.